It is the Ed Conroy Show, and we're very happy to have all of you with us as we come to you live tonight. We called a little bit of an audible, Coach. I'll use terminology here as we come your way live from Dunleavy's. We're at 2213 Middle Street on Sullivan's Island as we talk Citadel basketball. Not exactly beach weather, but we're right here at it nonetheless, and this is a really cool place.
No, it is, and Roy Neal and El Jefe have been great. We'll be back there next Monday, but the people here at Dunleavy's have been fantastic as well, and I appreciate them pitching in on this Monday night. We've had the team out here a couple different times, so great location, great spot, and thrilled to be out here seeing some of our Sullivan. We have a great crowd here, so thrilled to have them out here.
Yeah, no doubt. There's a lot of people wearing Citadel logos in the building. That's great.
Yeah. And Elijah Morgan just walked in, so.
Yeah, now we see him in a Citadel logo all the time, but let's look back now at the week that was for the Citadel Bulldogs. Obviously, a couple of tough ones. The Wofford game was disappointing in that you hung in there and stood toe to toe in the first half of the game, but they kind of pull away in the second. We'll touch on the Western Carolina game a little bit more after that, but just want your thoughts on the Wofford game and what you feel like could have maybe gone differently to hang in there and maybe get a win.
Well, I love the way our guys came out. I thought we came out with a lot of confidence, a lot of aggressiveness on the road. A.J. Smith, Elijah Morgan made their first couple threes, and we got off to a nice lead there. And that's where, as far as the growth of this team, it's easy to focus on the end of games because we've been in so many close games. But
right.
It's really those, and we talked about this last show, it's really those moments when, and even though basketball is a game of runs, you're up 10 or 12 points. We were up twice in the first half. I believe it was 17-7,
yeah.
and then it was 29-19, I believe. But we were up 10 twice in that half. That's a half you have to go into halftime. You have to be up, 10, 12, 14 points and learn how to manage the game at that point. Both those times, Prosperity was tougher to handle it. A lot of times, adversity or tough times are easier to handle than the Prosperity as far as your next response. It's just human nature, and we got carried away and took a couple quick shots. And then had a couple breakdowns defensively, and now the game is closer, and you're not able to play the bench as much as you would like. You have to maybe call a timeout to stop a run, and it just causes more fatigue later in the second half. And then, sure enough, we were 10 minutes ago in the game, we're up, and we just could not finish it. And I think that had a lot to do with how we played toward the end of the first half. I'll give you an interesting stat before you ask the questions about that game. Our defense, not as good as I would like, okay, but we played extremely hard. We forced them into 2 shot clock violations in the first half.
Right.
We had them 7 times in the second half, under 5 seconds on the shot clock, 12 times under 10 seconds on the shot clock. Our guys were playing extremely hard. But what happened was we didn't finish a couple of those possessions. That's just experience and knowing how to do that. But we missed a couple box outs. We had a couple of unfortunate fouls. You're on the road, those things are going to happen. And then we took a couple quick, ill-advised shots on our end. So we didn't grind them and make them play defense. And I thought the last 10 minutes, because they played 10 guys all about 20 minutes, I thought you just really saw the fatigue level of our guys kind of give in a little bit, and they were fresher down the stretch.
Yeah, and I think they went something like 2 for 9, and credit your defense, obviously, 2 for 9 in the first half of that game. You talk all the time, or have, about the fact they're a prolific three-point shooting team, so to some extent that would explain they're going to get theirs, even when they're covered to a degree, but 9 out of 13 in the second half, they kind of made up for how well they didn't shoot in the first.
They did, but I showed our guys on film today, and we've talked a lot about it. It's just a matter of details and like a foot here, a foot there, a hand up here. What we did in the first half so well was we took up all their space. We really crowded them on ball screens. We put high hands, we call it, on the ball. We were deflecting a lot of balls in the pass. So even though they completed a pass, we made them throw it a little higher, a little wider than they wanted to. And then when fatigue set in late in that second half, because they were disciplined enough to grind us on those possessions, much like we've done to teams in the past. And this team hasn't been able to find that rhythm yet of doing that. We're working on it. But once they grinded us and really worked us hard, we were maybe a foot less close to them, a foot further away from them. Our hands might have been down instead of up. And they started finding a rhythm with their passes. The ball started moving faster. And now you're jumping at them to contest the shot instead of already being there touching them. And it makes a big difference on their shot percentage.
With a team that's as young as this one is, and we've made a lot out of the fact that it's primarily underclassmen, then you had the 3 grad players, and right now 2 of them. How do these things help you in the long run? You've been right there in these games. From a confidence perspective, they know they can play with these teams. You just got to finish.
Yeah, no question. Our guys, they need to know, and they do. They have proven confidence comes from demonstrated ability, and they know they have demonstrated the ability to play with anybody in this league. And what they're finding out is what a fine line it is between winning and losing.
Yeah.
And so some of the details we've really harped in on is when teams are when somebody takes a 3-point shot and we're 3 or more feet away from them when they catch the ball, like their shooting percentage is almost 50%. When they catch it and we close within 3 or 4 feet, their shooting percentage is down there 19, 20%.
Right.
It is a matter of inches, and you have to fight for those inches. And those inches are out there. Like we have the ability to do it. We're going to keep grinding away. We have 6 more games, 4 at home. I still believe that this team is going to be the story of our league and possibly the region of the country. I just really believe that. I think there's a lot of season left for this team to be played because we are so close.
And we've talked about it before. That's one of the forgiving elements in the way that schedules and things like that, conference tournaments and all that unfold. If you can recover from a tough earlier season, you can be playing your best ball when the tournament rolls around, and you just never know. It's a toss-up then.
No question. And I tell our guys, I don't want to put a number on down the stretch. We need our home fans there. Hey, this crowd here at Dunleavy, we got some energy in the building tonight. This is fantastic. And you can probably hear the crowd noise over the speaker here. We get this kind of energy in McAllister. I don't know what the number is. Do you win 5 out of 6, 4 out of 6?
Right.
But more important than that number is that means you're playing good basketball going into the tournament. And not only playing close games, but winning those games. And so we're going to fight like crazy down the stretch here and see if we can't get a couple of those wins. It does matter. If we could find a way to claw our way out of that first night, that would be huge. But no matter what we do, we want to be playing good basketball going into that tournament, and then anything can happen.
AJ, you talked about him a little bit ago. It was his best game since he kind of got banged up back in the Notre Dame game back in December. And that can only bode well for your team. He's got to be a catalyst for you guys to be at the most full strength you can be now, given the injuries and whatnot.
AJ came out and obviously hit some threes early on and was really good scoring the basketball. He's just a sophomore. I showed him today on tape. He had a 27-point game, which is terrific. I honestly think with his ability, if a couple things that he's working on to learn and do a little bit better, I think that could have been a 40-point performance. I really do. He is really close to even breaking through to another level, and really with him and Madison and a couple of other guys, their ability to get in the paint, if they can really start looking and finding those other guys, especially early on in the game, I think it's going to open up a lot of different things for us. Q, underrated, even when he doesn't score a lot of points, he just bangs so hard. He takes on such a physical toll down there in the paint for us and spacing, and Elijah with his shooting. We've got a lot of good elements going, and I think we're just really, really close to clicking on offense, but also having an offense that helps our defense. And that's where we're missing a little bit right now. We can score, but can we do it in such a way when we control that tempo where we score sometimes in 25 seconds, sometimes in 5, but we're in control of that and we help our defense out.
One of the things I kind of find fascinating when you have the opportunity to broadcast a game courtside as opposed to up high is that where you are, and you could make the same case for the first couple of rows probably in the seating areas, but you really get to hear and see a little bit more of the communication that takes place on the floor, defensively and offensively. And I'm kind of fascinated by the inner workings of the game and how much goes on communication-wise on the floor.
It's a huge deal, and I would tell you, you see Elijah, Winston when he was healthy, Q, guys that have been around college basketball. And then even AJ and Madison and Tony and Colby, our sophomores, that have been through it for a year, their communication level is at a completely different spot or point in the maturation process than our freshmen. And I think our freshmen are taken aback by a little bit, but just the intensity of play, the amount of communication that goes on, and then also how fast everybody can make you pay for your mistakes. If you make a mistake by a couple feet, people are going to make you pay. And credit Wofford and some of these teams in our league when the ball is moving really fast, and they have the ability to knock down threes, and we just have to get better.
The Western Carolina game, we'll visit on that one for a minute here. And, of course, you opened conference play against them. A lot of bad circumstance took place right around then and impacting your team, and everything got changed. You lost Winston, all of that stuff. But that was another one that goes right down to the end, and you guys were right in that thing, banging toe-to-toe with them the whole game. That can only – it's frustrating to not get out of there with the ultimate goal, but on the other hand, it builds a lot of character, and you certainly are battle-tested having gone through that, and the future would be brighter because of that.
We went on the road for 3 straight, and I thought we had a chance really in all of them, and this team is right there. And when you go on the road in college basketball, 70% of the time, this year even more so, the home team wins. And so when you go on the road and you're giving yourselves a chance with 5 minutes to go every night, you have a good basketball team. We just need to find a way to punch through, get some wins, get that confidence going, and learn how to close out these games.
I'd like to get some thoughts on your bench. We've talked a lot about him, and obviously you've had to use it. You knew you would use it a lot, but you've had to use it more and more given the circumstances and all of that stuff. Guys have battled injuries, illnesses, all that. Your roster, as we've talked a lot about, is relatively a very young one. Could you offer some thoughts, though, on your bench and the potential of these guys? You're kind of mixing and matching a little bit right now, understandably, and there's a lot of exciting potential there.
Oh, I was high on this class coming in, and I really am. Christian Moore was starting to play some great basketball before he was injured, a very versatile, savvy player. Keenan Davis has stepped up, and we're running him out there 35 minutes a night right now. And he has the ability to play multiple positions. He's getting better and better defensively. He's getting his hand on a lot of basketballs. He's really good at dribbling the ball into different spots and putting the defense in jeopardy. And so we've used him a lot as a playmaker. Levi Burkholz is tough. I know I can put him in there and he can go get some rebounds and really bring some toughness to us. Cam Roberts had his best game probably against Wofford. He got in the post. We're playing him now at the center spot. He's undersized a little bit, but got in there, and it was fun to watch him compete. He made a couple shots. He has a natural ability to score. I think about him a lot. His stats, AJ, I think averaged maybe 3 points a game last year. And I don't want to compare. I don't like comparing players, but I can see Cam having the same kind of a jump from his scoring ability his sophomore year. When I watch him play, he has a natural ability to just find a way to get points. And you saw that against Wofford. He scored 4 points there in a few minutes there. And Marcus Pegram's getting more and more experience at that point guard spot as he continues. I think when you see him a year or two from now, you're going to see a very physical defender that really bothers people. You're going to see a guy that gets in the paint a lot and a guy that really runs that show kind of as a point guard, if you will, but has the ability because of his size to play different positions. Quinn Nielsen, we played him some more early, but lately not as much. But boy, I'm as high on him as anybody in that class. Just his ability to move at his size, and he really, really cares. He's a terrific cadet. He's a terrific student. Really cares and is conscientious about his basketball development. He's going to be a good one. And then Rowan Ireland, really competes, can shoot that basketball. I hope I'm not missing somebody, but I'm very high on that class.
To be honest, just watching these guys shoot around, obviously I'm always impressed because I was never that good a basketball player. But you've got a lot of these guys that can really, really drill these shots. You've got a number of guys that can hit from all over the floor.
We do. I think this group, defensively it always takes time with freshmen. But this group, if they can get that down, I can get them out there more. In these, every game is so close. We just don't have those breathers where you can, really experiment a little bit or give them a chance to live through some mistakes. But they're doing just fine, and we had another good practice today. I think you'll see Levi and Cam, Marcus. I think you'll see their minutes extended in the next several games, and then obviously Keenan probably can't play more than he is right now. he's up there around 30, 35 minutes.
You're talking about Marcus. I mean, between yourself and John and Cam and, on and on, there you've got Madison Durr on your roster, too. You've got a lot of good influences around Marcus to really help hone his game as he comes along.
Yeah, underrated. Probably not people haven't really noticed, but really tough place to come in and be a point guard. You have 3 Citadel graduates who played point guard on the staff, and then another one in Hunt who played for us at Minnesota, and so I've coached him a long time. Really, it's a tough locker coach's room to come into because we're going to have a high standard on you, and you think about some of the guys, and I go back through the years. Coach Robinson's here tonight, and he had fantastic point guards. And I remember when I came in, Jimmy Tharp was a terrific passer, assist guy. I was able to learn under him a little bit for a year as I got time as a freshman, and then take over for him. But Coach had some great point guards, and they really controlled the thing. And I think that's hopefully our influence we can develop some here in the coming years.
And it's really such a key role, and it's one that kind of helps establish the identity of your team and how it's run.
No question. I've said all along, when Zach Urbanus was, in my mind, Zach should be a Hall of Famer at the Citadel. He had that kind of impact on our program, and he won games. If you check about who contributed to winning, Zach it would be right up there. And so he played some point and some two guard my last time I was here. Cameron Wells was the other one who played point, but they switched back and forth because they could do it both. And then John Reynolds was the guy in practice that was pushing both of them. And whoever I wanted pushed that day, I said, John, go get him. And John has that. He's got that bulldog personality, and he would go after those guys. Before that, I was fortunate. Kevin Hammock, I had him for 1 year. He's right there at the career steals leaders and assist leaders. He's coaching at Burke High School right now. They won it. They're like region champs right now. He's doing a great job as a coach, assisted by Jamel Everhart, another former player. So we've got Citadel Bulldog point guards all around you. And Marcus, we laugh all the time. It's not an easy spot to walk into.
Well, you have these 2 home games now upcoming, thankfully, between UNCG day after tomorrow and then VMI over the weekend. What do you see on the bigger picture as the biggest key for you guys to a stronger finish here in the regular season?
Well, I would tell you, for what I want to watch and see from our team, we have to be better defensively. As we grow into that, it's tough. Like when you put a freshman in a game these days in college basketball.
Right.
He's 18 years old. He's not playing against 20, 21-year-olds like in the past. He's playing against 23, 24, and 25-year-olds in our league who have been around for 5 and 6 college basketball seasons. It is a tall order. So we bottom line is we have to be better defensively. We're getting better. I think in the meantime, and I know people 6 games left. Yes, every game we're making progress on this. We have to control a little bit of it from the offensive end. It's easier said than done. We have some very aggressive, confident players in AJ, Madison, Elijah, guys that want to get downhill, get to the rim, and we need that out of them. But then there's also times in that game we need them to kind of pull it back and not play slow, but like we're in charge of the tempo.
Right.
We scored in 25 seconds this time. We scored in 5 seconds this time. We don't want to take away, like Keenan gets out, he can run like a deer. He gets out on the break, we throw it ahead to him. He gets a layup out of anywhere. We score in 3 seconds. Now next time maybe we need to go and really grind that other team because they're doing that to us on the other end. We need to control that. We're up 10. We need to make sure we let Q touch this basketball this time. Make sure we take a really good shot. I think sometimes we're in such a hurry to demonstrate the skills that we do have that we don't read what the game of basketball kind of tells you what to do. And that's the maturation process that we're in right now. I'm sure for some fans and for some coaches it's frustrating, but been there before, seen young players come through this, and I would much rather tame a bronco than warm up a mule. You know what I mean?
That's a great way of putting it.
And that's what we are right now. I want AJ Smith. Like I really told him the other day, like there was a couple shots in the game he needed to take better. But at the same time, when he scored 27, he looked at me like I was crazy. But I said, you should have had 40 tonight.
Yeah.
Like it was that kind of night. Like if you would have spaced every time the right way, if you'd have been aggressive here where you needed to be, and then on these possessions, move the ball a little bit, you might have had 40 because of the work that Q was doing on screening, the work that Madison was doing on finding him. Like it was going to be his night. Now you can't go out there with an agenda to score 40 every night, but that would have been one of those magical nights, and I think it should have been if we played the game the right way.
Do you think with younger players sometimes it takes them at least a little while of getting meaningful minutes to feel confident to take the big shot at a key time? If it's there, you got to take it.
It's such a fine line in basketball. We had a game, I think it was Western Carolina. And I was really hard on Marcus and Levi, really hard. And they looked at me kind of like strangely. I think they understand it now. But they both took pretty good shots, shots that they can make. A top of the key 3 for Marcus, a wing 3 for Levi. The problem was we had 3 or 4 possessions before that where we either turned the ball over, we missed a close-in shot, then we probably had a decision where somebody tried to split a gap or ran somebody over, and we were playing too fast, not sharing the ball like we need to. We don't need anything quick this time. We might take that shot toward the end of the shot clock, and we can make it, but we need to explore trying to get fouled, trying to get the ball into the post, trying to get a paint touch, trying to get a couple ball reversals, something to break that defense down and get a shot that we absolutely cannot miss. Not a low percentage shot that we're capable of making, but a shot that we just can't miss because we need to stop this run. That's where our team right now, we just need to get a little better.
Last thing here in this segment, we're going to have Elijah on here next, by the way. I'd like to get your thoughts on him as a player, a teammate, and what he's meant to your program while he's been here.
You say his name, I'm going to light up with a smile. Like, I've known him since he was probably 7th grade. I am so proud of that young man. I love watching what he's doing out there right now. He's so passionate, fantastic student, has an unbelievable career ahead of him, and no matter what he chooses. I talked to him the other day, I think he'll play professionally for a while. And I'm really, and who knows where that'll take him. And I'm really excited for whatever career he has after that. He's going to be an ultra successful guy. I'm really proud to say that he's going to be a Citadel alum and part of our family, because that young man, probably would have, if he knew about it and was recruited here, he would have been a great fit from the beginning.
Yeah.
But if we can attract guys like him, grad transfers, you see him out there right now. He's sitting with our fans right now. They're having a great time talking to him. He's just a phenomenal young man, and I'm glad that he's here with us.
Well, we enjoy certainly watching and calling the games with him out there as well. It's been a blast for me. These have been tough and all that stuff. You always, as an announcer, you always tell better stories when the team wins, but I would argue the story's been just as good. We just haven't quite gotten the end results yet, but you can see the growth, and you can see the development, you can see the maturation.
And I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to take that one step further. You can see our program and where it's headed. Like, we're in the midst of a tough conference season, right? I mean, things probably, I hope they never get this tough again, right? Like, we're building. And right now, like, everything, camp numbers are up, fan attendance is up. Everything. Look at tonight. Like, I don't know.
Right.
There's a lot of, Tony Skull just walked in here,
right.
But there's a lot of programs in the country that you go to their radio shows. And I'm talking about ACC, SEC programs. They got 5 or 10 people there.
Yeah.
This place is packed. The Citadel fans, it is absolutely awesome.
And it's Monday, and it's raining.
It's terrific. But this just shows you how, we get this thing going just a little bit, and I know this fan base is going to respond in a great way. It is awesome to see everybody here.
This is the Ed Conroy Show. We are live tonight from Dunleavy's. We're at 2213 Middle Street on Sullivan's Island. Brian Giffen and Ed Conroy. Right here, we'll take a timeout. Also want to remind you that the Ed Conroy Show is presented by Cutwater Spirits. And on the other side of the break, we'll have Elijah Morgan here. We'll get a little bit more of a grad transfer player perspective. Go ahead.
Hold on one second, Brian. You keep your mic on. I'm going to just say something.
All right. Coach is going to fire up the masses. At Dunleavy's here at 2213 Middle Street on Sullivan's Island. It's the Ed Conroy Show. Brian Giffen, the radio voice of the Dogs. Ed Conroy in the building. A whole lot of Citadel faithful in the building. Alums, all kinds of sponsors, students, staffers, all kinds of folks in the building here. And we're having a great time at Dunleavy's with the Ed Conroy Show. And our guest now is Elijah Morgan. And Elijah, we want to remind people first that the Ed Conroy Show is presented by Cutwater Spirits, but also want to talk a little bit about your season. You know, it's been tough, a tough go since conference play started. You guys have had to overcome a lot because of injuries and things that happen in the course of a season. You guys have been close in just about all of them. It's just a matter, in some cases, of making one more play, one more stop, and doing what it takes to get over the top.
Definitely. I wouldn't say that our record shows how good of a team we are. As you just said, we've been playing good with everybody. Going up from the top seeds all the way down, we've been hanging real close with everybody. It's just sometimes it's different things when it comes down the stretch. Sometimes it's execution. Sometimes it's anything from us following what coach says we need to do. Sometimes it's us understanding what's going on in the game and what needs to be done for us to win. But it's not a talent thing. It's not a scouting thing.
Right.
It's just there are just a little small things, the winning plays that you got to make that we're not really doing right now.
Well, it's such a predominantly young roster. I mean, a lot has been made of that. It's all underclassmen than yourself, and while you had him, Winston and Q. So being that it's such a predominantly young roster, how much feedback do you give these guys? How much do they come to you for feedback? And how much, at times, are you sort of helping coach from the floor, I would guess, all the time?
Definitely. I mean, some guys are much better coming to me than others are. Like, for example, Keenan Davis, he comes to me and asks me, what do you see out there that I can do better? How can I do better? He's a sponge. He's always taking in, anything that me, Q, or Winston have to say. But a lot of times it's me going up to them. Sometimes they don't know the right questions to ask.
Right.
And that's okay. They're freshmen. But as somebody that's, this is my 5th year playing college basketball, I kind of have a bird's eye view, even though I'm on the court, seeing what the other players are doing, how their tendencies, what they're doing. So definitely just giving my constant feedback. It's constant. My mouth is always running, letting them know, hey, maybe do this. Or even just giving them encouragement, or telling them things they did well. Some people don't react well when all you do is criticize, or not criticize, but constructive criticism. So I try to make sure, to be there for their successes as well.
Before you came here, you were at Notre Dame when you were a much younger player. So can you think of instances where guys were kind of in that situation and helped you? And I'd love to get your thoughts on how you've progressed as a player since those days.
Definitely. When I was at Notre Dame, I was actually the only person, my freshman year, I was the only person that they took on the team. They brought in no recruits. It was just me. And so the whole team was basically, who I was going to, and they came to me because I was the only new player on the team. But, I mean, if it wasn't for those guys looking back into where I am now, if it wasn't for those guys coaching me, helping me along, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today. Just honestly, from a talent standpoint, from a character standpoint, a lot of those dudes, they had league aspirations.
Right.
They had G League aspirations. And so it meant a lot for me to be able to talk to them and for them to talk to me. And I think just going against those guys every day in practice, going against guys who are taller, guys who are maybe a little more skilled than what you find in our conference. That only put a chip on my shoulder when it was my time to, I got my opportunity to play. So that experience that I got, even though I wasn't playing too much, that experience has definitely helped me come in these past 2 years and be able to take a jump and be able to come in right away and make some good production.
I've never met a coach or a player that started in one place, moved on to another, that didn't take some amount of satisfaction out of going back to that place and winning a game and having a big game yourself. Can you talk a little about that experience? That was so much fun that night, and obviously we didn't know what would unfold after that and how the season would go, but that night, I think, regardless of the season they're having, because of the talent that's on that roster, the program it's in their place, I thought that was just a huge win.
Definitely. That was a huge win for our team going into the break, kind of concluding our non-conference schedule. And for me, that was probably the most fulfilling basketball game like in my career, just like in my life, honestly. It was amazing. I mean, there were times over the summer or just like during the preseason where I would literally be like imagining that game during practice, like during workouts, my individual workouts by myself. I just
it's circled on the calendar.
Yeah,
man.
It was circled on the calendar from when it came out, and I mean I knew about it from before it came out. So I mean it was just something that I literally dreamed about at times. And for me to go in there and have the type of game that I had, and for the team to have the type of game that we had, a statement win. I mean, we beat them by 20 points at their place. That was amazing. And I had a lot of people there, from professors to old coaches, some friends. So my dad was there. My dad was getting emotional. I've probably seen my dad emotional 3 times in my life. But it just meant so much to go back there. There were guys on the team that I knew that were on the team when I was there. So that was probably one of the most fulfilling moments in my life, definitely having that game.
As things have been tough, again, given the injuries and things that happened right at the beginning of conference play, the amount of energy and effort has never wavered.
Never.
And obviously it appears that the amount of fight that's in you guys is just as much as it's been all along. The one thing about young players is sometimes there's a tendency to get frustrated and, gosh, what do we got to do to get over it? But that doesn't show anywhere in anybody you deal with. They all appear confident, happy, united, and ready to get at it. Just got to make an extra play or an extra stop here and there.
Definitely. I mean, we have great camaraderie off the court, and I think that definitely plays into our on the court. Being able to come in every day on the court in practice, still, have good practices. Because a lot of teams right now, if you look at teams with similar records to us, I mean, you can. And I at Notre Dame, one of my years, we were just not good. And
right.
I can compare our practices now to those when I was at Notre Dame, and it's just like at Notre Dame, it was kind of just we come in, we do it because we have to do it. But with us, we're right there. We know we're right there, and so our practices are still competitive. Our practices are still, we're tweaking a lot of things. I give a lot of respect to our coaches because they're not stopping. Like every game is a new opportunity. They take their scouts very seriously, and so I think just from the top down, seeing that type of dedication to each game, that would be disrespectful for us to not,
right.
Come out and give our all every game. So I mean, even if we're down big, you're never just going to see us give up. We're still going to keep playing all the way to the end. So, I mean, and I think that's going to start turning in our favor, the fact that, we're not giving up. That's not the Citadel way to do anything. So I would say we're seeing it through. We're seeing some hard times through right now, but I know, we're still progressing. We're still getting better. We have a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
And, with young guys, it takes time for them to develop. And if it's later in the season, as long as we're seeing those wins, we don't care when in the season it happens. So Coach Conway always talks about the tournament and having, one of the best stories in college basketball. And, I mean, I believe we have enough. I think we've shown we have enough. It's just, as you said, those 1 or 2 plays.
Coach and I have talked a lot about this, and that's one of the beauties of the tournament format. Regardless of how the regular season has gone, you can kind of throw records out. Realistically, you've got a chance to finish strong. Who knows? If you're playing your best ball, you might be able to get to that tournament and make some noise. And if that's the case, you can make up for a lot of tough
Definitely.
nights.
And that's not common in other conferences where,
right.
You can play every team twice, and you go into a tournament with teams you've already seen. You're not going in with anyone you haven't played. No new scouts, really. Everyone knows the plays you're running. It's just who does it the most effective. So I think that, and we've held every team. We've played every team close. So there's not a game that we go into where we're just like, wow, we're not going to win this game.
Right.
It's as we said, it's those 1 or 2 plays. And I think it's very important to have that chip on our shoulder to be able to go into that tournament and make some noise. So I'm definitely looking forward to these next, 6, 7 games left before the tournament. I think we can play our best basketball. There are teams that have already played their best basketball,
right.
and I don't think we have played our best basketball yet. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the future, excited for the tournament. And I think even the games we've played earlier on, like the Campbell tournament, 3 games in 3 days, I think, we have some experience with what that's going to look like
right.
in the tournament. And that's how Coach Conway schedules, that's how he makes the schedule. He does that on purpose. So I think that'll play in our favor.
You look back at that Campbell tournament, and it's a ways back now, but things that happen in the course of a season that'll propel you, sometimes knock you on your heels. Winning that Idaho State game, you hit that 3 over there from the right side to tie the game with less than a second to go, or whatever it was, 4 seconds to
right.
go. And winning that game gave you guys a lift that carried on, I think, for a couple of weeks.
Exactly. And, I mean, it really should have carried on through the Campbell game. I think that third game, our rotation was a little short. We lost Christian.
Right.
So our legs were probably a little dead. But I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think that propelled us just to show that, the game looked out of hand. We were down, I think, 9 with a minute left. The game looked out of hand, but to keep fighting and to get that win propelled us to, the next game against NC Central, all the way through Notre Dame. So I would definitely say and beating Notre Dame, getting close with Boston College, being close with NC State.
Yeah.
We know that we can play with these teams. It's just a matter of us doing the little things for 40 minutes. Sometimes we'll play good for 30 minutes, but it's hard to get wins in college basketball. 30 minutes won't cut it if you're playing a good team. You're in Division I, you're going to be always playing good teams. So you got to be able to put it together for 40, so that's something we're working on.
Confidence, and look, there's talented. If you're a Division I basketball player, you're a really good basketball player. There's talent everywhere. But confidence is such an important intangible in the role that you're in, where, at a key moment in a game, you'll look to step back and drain a three. So I've seen you reel off 11 straight, and you go 11-0 against some team on your own.
Right.
But there's a certain confidence element that you develop over time, and while you have it, some of your teammates are still developing it. Confidence is a huge important. You got to believe that shot's going to go before you hoist it up there.
I mean, I think basketball. I think my dad always said basketball is a thinking man's game. I think confidence, if it's not a majority, over 50%, it's close to it. I mean, if you don't have confidence playing, but I mean, there have been times where I have not had confidence, especially last year, and that just I mean, you could put up 200 shots a day. If you're not going into the game with confidence, you're going to miss every shot you take. And confidence has really been something that I've worked on. I actually talked to a sports psychologist, which is something that I've told people. I'm very open to telling people, and that just – I mean, my confidence went through the roof after. I talked to them right before the Boston College game. So I just come off of NC State. And obviously it's not about points, but I didn't score against NC State. And I talked to sports psychologists, had 17 the next game against Boston College. And it's propelled me through the season. I think confidence is, especially my style of play, I shoot a lot of threes. A low percentage shot. I mean, if you're shooting 40%, you're probably nearly one of the best in the country.
Right.
So kind of for my game, to rely on a low percentage shot, you got to have some confidence. So, and coaches have instilled that in me as well. The confidence. It's not just something that comes from within, coaches, my teammates especially. But, confidence, I think it's almost a majority of, the basketball, the physical game as well. But if you don't have confidence, somebody's going to shut you down. Somebody will. Yeah,
it goes back. Sometimes it isn't just what's in the legs and the shooting ability or any of that. A lot of it's what's in the heart and in the brain.
Definitely.
It's a mental game also.
Definitely.
Back-to-back home games now for the first time in a long time. The UNC Greensboro game comes day after tomorrow. Then another Pack the Mac against VMI. And I'm sure that to a man, you guys are kind of ready to probably, well, first you got Greensboro, which is a handful in their own right, but you also want to atone for going up to VMI and not having a very good game.
Yeah, VMI, that's a game we should have had. That's one that, I want back really bad, just because we know we were better than them across the board. It was just a game that, once again, the little plays, we were playing from behind, had a bad half of basketball, and, that was kind of a theme for us early on. We've kind of started now coming out really strong in the first half, but a couple of those wins earlier on in the season, we're always playing from behind, and that's kind of what happened against VMI. But once again, that's a game where we know, 1 through 5 across the board we're better than, and we didn't show it. So definitely that's a game that, we need to have a statement win, not just a win, but a statement win. But we're looking to put 2 together against UNCG. Once again, another close game that we played against them. I think we're going to make the proper adjustments. Their big man went off against us, and we, in practice today, that's something that we're adjusting. And we're going to make sure he's the one that doesn't beat us. But if we get him under control, that's a game that we should have had at their building. So, it being in our building, home crowd, we practice in the gym every day. I think that really will propel us, and I think it'll be a great game.
Last thing for you, I'd like to talk a little about your experience here at the Citadel. You transferred in, as we talked about a couple of years ago. Actually had a chance to play and win at Notre Dame, as we talked about earlier this season. And there's more season left. I'd love to have you reflect for a minute on your time at the Citadel and maybe what's next whenever this season does end for you.
Definitely. When I look back at my time on the Citadel, I loved it. Like it was Coach Conroy gave me an opportunity that I'm I'm forever grateful for, to take a chance on a undersized off-ball guard. I mean, I played point guard last year, so just to take a chance on a walk-on, period. A lot of coaches wouldn't do that, so I'm very grateful that he did that. But I mean, coming in, it's an adjustment. I came from a private Catholic school, and now I'm in a very heavily military influenced school. And as a grad student, I'm obviously not a cadet, so there were some learning curves just about the culture of the school. But my dad was in the Army, so I have a lot of respect. I grew up in a very disciplined household, so I have a lot of respect for what they do. Great city, also. I'm living off campus. I live right by Folly Beach, so when the weather's good, I'm always out there, which is nice. The kind of city actually kind of reminds me of New Orleans, which is where I'm from.
Yeah,
everybody always says
comparison.
It's a cleaner New Orleans.
Architecturally, everything.
Yeah, architecturally, they got the French Market downtown, which is a staple in New Orleans. So it kind of reminded me of home, which was great. But I would say I definitely made a jump, I would say, from my last year to this year, which has been beautiful, something that, I credit to the coaches. I credit to the time I've put in the gym. But it's been great. I mean, I've created great bonds with my teammates, and I have great bonds with my teammates at Notre Dame as well, which is something that I'm forever grateful for. But my time here has been great. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And then looking forward, I'm hoping to keep playing basketball. That's what I want to do. I would love to go play professionally overseas, have that experience, live out the country and get paid to play. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? But
no question.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm hoping to do the next couple of years, next few years, and after that, I'll move back and start a professional career. So that's kind of in the works after this.
Well, man, we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us tonight.
Sure.
Obviously, congrats on the way things have played. And I got a feeling, I haven't known you very long, but it sure looks like whatever you do, you're going to be successful.
Thank you. I
appreciate you a great deal.
Of course, thank you.
That is Elijah Morgan, grad transfer, and of course, three-point shooter extraordinaire for the Bulldogs, spending time with us here on the Ed Conroy Show. We are live from Dunleavy's here on Sullivan's Island, and the Ed Conroy Show is presented by Cutwater Spirits. Back with more with Coach right after this time out. You're listening to the Citadel Bulldogs Radio Network. Patrick Reiling is going to jump in for a couple of minutes. Now we've praised, I'm giving you a minute to get your headset on.
Yep.
We've praised assistant coaches a lot. Coach and I kind of talked extensively about the amount of work that goes into all this stuff, and as much as the results on the court as far as wins and losses lately have gone, there's no question how hard these guys are working, and from the standpoint of taking direction and all those things as a coach, you've got to really be enjoying working with this group.
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate right now. We have a unique group where we have some veterans. Elijah, obviously, he's returned, but Q, I was at Vanderbilt with Coach Conroy where Q was there, and Winston, obviously, we have some veteran guys, and we have a lot of sophomores and freshmen after that now where we bring back Madison, AJ, a couple other sophomores that were here with us, and then we have a large group, 7 freshmen total, where we have guys from California, Boston, Virginia, Chicago, Wisconsin, bringing that group together where we have guys that are hungry to learn, eager to learn, and want to get better for the team and find ways to win.
I'd love to get your thoughts on the culture at the Citadel, and obviously, it's every place has its own unique culture. Every program does, but I think culture is a big part of what makes a program a success too.
Yeah, I mean, culture is stuff that every day, your habits that you do every day, whether it's on the court, in the classroom, and obviously with Coach who played here and has coached here before, right, it starts at the top with him, but it goes through everybody. And culture is something that our guys, again, like I said earlier, it's not just the basketball side of it. It's how you conduct yourself in the classroom, right. What you're doing when you go to get something to eat, and how you interact with everybody around the campus.
Well, and besides basketball and trying to win games, you're still helping develop citizens also. And that's one of the great things, I think, Patrick, about the time I've been here at the Citadel, just seeing the types of community leaders and citizens people become when they come through this university and this system. And I love that. Culture is a big deal, and it really isn't just in the athletic department. It's university-wide.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what our guys are starting to understand. Our freshmen that come in here, they're excited to play basketball, but now that they look up, they see guys like Winston, Q, Elijah, who will be getting ready in a couple months to go start the next part of their lives. And I think, again, that culture that we try to instill in them, it's taken differently by everybody, but it's what you're doing every single day so that when you're ready to leave here, you're ready to go do things on a high level.
I'd love to get an assistant coach perspective, even on the the MAC game a couple of weeks ago against Furman. The energy in the building was insane. You have another one of those coming up with VMI, and we're obviously hoping for a big crowd on Wednesday for UNCG too. Can you speak a little to that atmosphere and what it does to the adrenaline and the butterflies and the drive in you to go out there and succeed?
Yeah, I mean, for us, when we're sitting in the locker room and it's 9 minutes before tip-off and coach is talking and our guys can hear fans right above them going to their seats, stomping their feet, getting ready for our guys to come out of the tunnel. For an 18, 19, 20-year-old, there's no better feeling to have than that. And
that is Patrick Reiling, one of the assistant coaches to Ed Conroy here at the Citadel. We'll take one more time out. Coach will be over here, and we'll wrap this edition of the Ed Conroy Show up on the other side. It's presented by Cutwater Spirits, and we're live from Dunleavy's on Sullivan's Island. Back with more after this on the Citadel Bulldogs Radio Network. I appreciate it. We just got a little sideways with how things are timed, but this is kind of free-flowing anyway.
Yeah, no, all good.
If you want to send me Coach back, we'll just have a couple of minutes. I appreciate it, though. It was great. Hey, and so I did at least scratch the surface on this with Russ. from Dunleavy's on Sullivan's Island. We're at 2213 Middle Street, and Coach Conroy and I talking Citadel basketball, and a great crowd of Citadel folks here tonight as Coach will rejoin us here at our broadcast table. We only have a couple of minutes, so we'll get out pretty quickly here. But let's bring Coach back on board here. Coach, I'd love to do this quickly before we get out because we just have a couple of minutes. But I'd like to implore these folks here to make some noise and let everybody out there that's listening know how many people showed up here and why they should for the next one.
We can definitely get that done. They were having a little trouble with the mic, but hold on one second here.
Coach is gonna get them going. This is the guy they came to see. But this is the Ed Conroy Show. It's presented by Cutwater Spirits. And, again, we've been broadcasting from Dunleavy's right here on Sullivan's Island. It's at 2213 Middle Street. Bulldogs take on UNCG on Wednesday. That is a 7 o'clock start. And we'll have pregame coverage at 6:30 for that one. Coach has got them going. See, I couldn't have done that. That's him. I couldn't have done that. But see, and I think that pretty well says it. Coach, we just have a couple of seconds here as we are running a little bit low on time, but love to implore the folks to get out for both these upcoming home games.
Well, I tell you what, you watch our team play, and you have to see the toughness and the fight and the competitiveness. We just haven't been able to get over the hump. The day we had the entire core in there for the Furman game, you saw what that energy did to our team. It's a huge part about college basketball. Home court is everything. If we can get that energy going, like I said, I still believe there's a big story to be written about this team. They're just too tough and too competitive. If we got 4 more at home, 4 of our next 6. If we can somehow get where we get on a little bit of a roll, be playing good basketball going to March, I have no doubt that this team can make a lot of noise up in Asheville, and certainly we can have a lot of fun at these home games. So anybody you're talking to, get them out. If you need a ticket, just call me or email me. I'll get you in the building. We just need as many fans as we can, and let this team know we appreciate them.
Coach, we appreciate it as always, and we'll look forward to Wednesday.
Sounds great. Go Dogs.
Thanks to all the folks here at Dunleavy's, too. Thanks to each and every one of you that came out here tonight, man. You guys have been fantastic. I want to say thanks to the Dunleavy folks who have taken really good care of us here. And, again, the Ed Conroy Show presented by Cutwater Spirits, and we have been live from Dunleavy's. We will talk to you Wednesday when the Bulldogs take on UNCG. For now, that'll do it from here. So long, and go Dogs. All right, Joe. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Okay. The levels are it's just tricky because
yeah, I know. I think I figured it out. We got to turn this thing all the way up, and then we'll turn your volume all the way down. It's going to give us the screech, but once you start turning your volume up, that's when it sounds a lot crisper. Because near the end, that's.
Each time I fed it out of the headphone amp, fed it out of this I have more control over it.
Yeah, because once we got to like